to be a better way than building from the bottom up, because this is going to take a long time.
Be more self-sufficient, be sustainable, to be able to not have to rely on the government, but just be able to do what I want to do.
Hey YouTube and all of you Shed to Housers. My name is Bo Brotherton from BetterTogetherLife.com and the Shed to House Facebook group. And welcome to another episode of ShedTalk. I don't know if I've ever really talked to y'all about what Kelly and I's plan is for this ShedTalk. So let me try to explain. This show is meant for you guys who are into homesteading and to be mortgage free and learn how to scale down your life, to be able to have a more simple life. Not necessarily minimalism, but just to live more simple. This is meant for you because we, for the last year, I've been planning this, and really since in 2017, we have just been strong about trying to get as much information as we can before we move onto our homestead, but more importantly, before we actually purchase our shed and convert it into a house. After we had the birth of our daughter, Finley, we needed to be able to keep something going, to keep our minds going, to be able to help, our YouTube channel, because we've kind of taken a break here, you've noticed. But this is where Shed Talk has been birthed, is we want to be able to interview and to talk to people that are actually doing this, that are actually getting out of the hells of suburbia and into a smaller home to be able to scale down their expenses so that they could have the land that they want, so that they can get their chickens, so that they can get their goats, so that they can store up food for any of you preppers or anything like that. That this is a way that this life is affordable, that they are getting off their tails and they're doing something and they are achieving these goals in their life. So that is the kind of the why behind Shed Talk a little bit. And we are planning on having a Shed Talk every single month on the first of the month. That's the schedule. So every first of the month, we are going to be having a new one. So as you can tell, this is August 1st. And there is a new episode. Today, I'm going to be talking with Lou Roman. He's in the Dallas area, so we kind of have episode 1 and episode 2 is some guys from Dallas. So I think Lou is converting a 14 by 36 cabin, and I can't wait to be able to talk to him. But before we get to Lou, let's go and take care of today's sponsor. The very first sponsor that signed on to helping us with this group in this community is Enterprise Center in Giddings, Texas. Enterprise is the biggest dealership in Texas for Dirksen portable buildings. Dirksen, you're gonna hear that all over, especially in the South. Dirksen is one of the leaders here in the South for these portable shed buildings. Now, if you want to, you can make it into a garage or you can convert it into a full-time living space. They also specialize in Carolina carports, so if you're wanting more of a barn dominium type style, Enterprise is the place to go. They will sell you a shed like many of y'all are wanting to do, or if you're like us and you have 4 kids, 7 years and under, and you don't really have all the time to be able to put into it, so they'll help you build out your shed at any stage from beginning. They'll help you frame it out, electrical, plumbing, all the way to sheetrock and fully finished with appliances. So Enterprise Center of Giddings, Texas. Find their information down below in the description. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump right into hanging out with Lou Roman. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Better Together Life YouTube and the Shed to House group. Today, I'm super excited. We have Lou Roman. Is that how you say your last name? Roman?
Roman, well, I mean, there's an accent on the A, but yeah, I just say Roman Empire. People get it. A Roman candle.
Nice, man. So, Lou, tell us about yourself.
All right. Well, have a 14 by 36 Ulrich shed. I'm in just outside of Fort Worth, so probably about 30 minutes. Wouldn't call it the boonies or anything like that. It's like I can get to downtown Fort Worth in about 30 minutes. Run my own business with my brother, so I have a software company, and my wife and I are just trying to, I guess, go small is what we're doing.
That's awesome. Okay. So you already have your land. Mm-hmm. What made you where did the small living, whatever, tiny house, whatever you want to call it, where did the small living thought come from?
Well, my wife always thought the tiny houses were really cool. And I thought they were cool, but what I didn't like about it was you get a little 100, 200 square foot house on a trailer, and it's like 80, 90,000. So when we got the land, we were like, well, let's just build a small house. And we started talking to contractors and everything else. It's like, okay, we went from a 2,000 square foot house in the city, and we were going to get like a 1,200 square foot house, and it was going to be just as much as we paid for our big house. So I was like, let's not do that. And then I had the brilliant idea that, you know, instead of having a house on a trailer, how about like a shed or something like that? We started with a pole barn, then to barndominium, and then we ended up on the shed, and that's kind of how it all kind of started.
Okay, so tell me about the barndominium, because that's how I think a lot of people think about that. What happened with the barndominium thought?
My wife's seen some now, like the inside's really nice, but the outside still kind of looks like a barn, and she just didn't like the metal barn look, which is weird. Shed now, which is a lot of people can see that as a barn or shed as well. But it was a start. We looked at some of the builders like in Austin, Houston, Fort Worth, and it was getting pretty expensive. And then if you try to do it yourself, it seemed like a lot of work, and you know, it just didn't work out. Like maybe eventually, because we actually, once we sold our house, then we rented a duplex. We went from like 2,000 square feet to 1,000 square foot duplex to now we're going to go to 500 square feet or 400 square feet. So we're steadily getting smaller. And so maybe eventually we'll get like a barndominium or something, but we had to be out by July to be into our shed, because that's when our lease is up. But luckily I can do month to month. So now the new target date is going to be August that we actually move in.
Okay. So you're out of the big house, and then y'all kind of downsize to a duplex, just as a little temporary thing while you're building out the shed. Okay.
And while my wife was finishing school. So she was finishing school, so it was closer because it was like 5 minutes from the school.
Okay. How far away is it from where you're living now to your shed, to your property?
So right now, because I decided to do a whole bunch of stuff at the same time, so I made it kind of so I was in Red Pasture Poultry Profits by Joel Salatin, and then listen to Permaculture Voices and Jack Spirko. So now I'm gonna have my tiny house and have my chickens and there. So I have a lot of stuff going on, but it's kind of crazy. So from the duplex, it's about 40 minutes. I guess like 30 to 40 minutes to the farm. And then from there, it's about 15 to 20 minutes to my office. So I have a little bit of a drive, but it doesn't seem like much. But when you have, chickens and now I got livestock guardian dogs, have to go out there and check on them twice a day. Although brother and I, we are working on, for our business, we don't necessarily need to have a brick and mortar location. So my next shed might be like a yoga studio for my wife, and then maybe a shed for the office as well.
That's what I was thinking, man.
It's only 4 acres, so I think we'll start there and then maybe get a bigger property at some point in time. It was just one of those things where it was a good deal and wasn't the best property, but the best property for us at the time.
4 acres, you can do a lot on 4 acres, man.
Definitely do quite. So.
Yeah, I mean, ours is 7, and I would say 2 or 3 of it is just wooded, nothing but woods.
Mm-hmm.
And I already, I daydream and nightmare at the same time about the property and trying to keep everything going and to do what I want to do and to stay married. So, with kids. About how long do you think? Because a lot of people that we talk to, they're like, how are you're going to have like teenagers in this small house? How long do you expect to live small, tiny?
All right. So we're open to whatever happens. So one of the reasons that we also decided to go tiny, I guess you can call it, or tiny for us, 400 square feet, is we didn't want to be, house poor, as they say. So it's, we had beautiful house, but it kind of limited what we could do with that mortgage and the car payments and everything else. So our goal is to be debt free in about 5 years or sooner. But that helps us get there, and we can reevaluate at that time. More than likely, I guess in a perfect world, what we will do is go, we'll have our tiny shed and maybe have another one in Florida, because we have family in Florida. We have family here in Texas.
That kind of leads me to a question. So how did you and your wife both come to this conclusion and this idea together, or who thought of it first?
I guess my wife liked the tiny house thing, and I wasn't really big on, even though I went and looked at them, I thought they were cool. I just thought they were too much money. And then I mentioned the shed, and then she thought it was pretty cool, even though I'm not a handyman. And then I guess it was kind of my idea, and then she's like, okay, you know what? We have a year with our lease, so we have a year to kind of finish what we're doing, and you have a year to figure stuff out, and that'd be the quickest, cheapest way for us to get out onto our property. So I guess I'm kind of dragging her along with me.
Okay, but it seemed like y'all were both that y'all were in agreement that this was the right thing to do.
We're definitely on the same page, and like we like the living small thing. With her work, she might actually do where she can travel to different places for like 6 months at a time. So, after the shed, we might do like a tiny house, or I'll convert a bus or something. I don't know. Just
man,
where it goes.
YouTube.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned that you are not a handyman. Have you ever done any kind of construction or anything?
My wife says that, before we started, I wasn't a handyman, right? And so I guess for me now, it's like something that I've learned is that I can call myself kind of a semi-handyman.
Yeah.
So you can basically, that's what's been our biggest challenge. So I don't know if you remember your episode where you made the rabbit hutch. So, yeah. Okay. So just picture that, but trying to build your house. And that's why my wife gets scared that it's going to fall down or something.
Yes. That's why I built the rabbit hutch. I'm like, man, I need to be able to make these rabbits a house before. Well, and that's something that, and I think that a lot of people is you just have to be honest with each other in terms of, if you have a spouse or a partner or whatever, that y'all need to be in good communication, because for us, I love the idea of doing this completely on the cheap and just buying the shell. But with us and 4 kids under 7 years old, and me not being a handyman, and our property being 2 hours away from our current house, that's not happening. So
yeah, luckily that to help, but yeah, that's definitely pretty tough. So
yeah. So our plan is to have the dealer frame it out and do the electrical and most likely and the insulation, because we want to do spray foam. Just we've stepped in there and you can tell the difference. And then maybe we might have them do drywall, or we might do that ourselves. So tell me what, from your perspective of not doing this before, like tell me what do I need to know? What have you learned? What is the biggest victories, and what are some of the mistakes?
It's something that will take, someone that knows what they're doing a day or two. Probably take me like a week, because I'm gonna mess up. Like I was just doing the shiplap and trying to measure to cut around the electrical boxes, and I messed up. And then I had a warped board because I didn't store it right, and so I'm trying to get that to work, and it was a pain. So I did one board, and my wife was helping me that day, and so we did one board about hour and a half, 2 hours. So she was done. She was like, and then once I got a groove, it's a lot easier to go. Yeah. Same thing like, the rafter vents, insulation, and different things. So I guess the most important thing is to like take your time and research what you're doing, because you're going to make mistakes. And the most important thing is try not to get upset. It's like we bought a stove, and I thought I measured correctly, and then I had everything set up, and then I was 2 inches off. So then after I did all the insulation and the piping, I had to redo the kitchen, so that was kind of a pain. That was like our most recent crisis, I guess you can say. Main thing is just doing it. Because you could I can sit here and think of 1,000 reasons why I shouldn't do it, or why, but if you just go out and do it, then you'll figure it out around the way, and then you'll be surprised who can help you. It's like, you might have a friend that knows ACs or someone that knows electrical. There's a lot of people helping out on the Shed the House group. There's help out there. It's just doing it. Once you decide you want to do it, you just got to get out there and do it.
So are you seeing a light at the end of the tunnel at all?
Yes and no. It's like, okay, so we wanted to be in July 1st. So now our new date is August 1st. And, now that we're getting the shiplap and some of the sheetrock, it's starting to look like a house. But, it still seems like there's just so much to do. And, like working till like 5:30, getting to the farm at, say, 6. Then I work for like an hour or two. I'm still getting home at 10. And then like, Father's Day weekend or something comes up. It's like there's so little time to do stuff. Or, like I was saying before, it's like, I'm going to do all this today. And then you get like the first thing knocked off your list because the first thing took all day,
Yeah.
We're getting closer. I think once we finish, I think we're not doing the cabinets and the countertops.
Okay.
So Home Depot comes out and installs that for us. I think
Awesome.
it's going to feel more together, I guess.
Well, that's the crazy thing is that's one of the things that we're going to try to do is the countertops and the cabinets. And I like,
Yeah. I don't know. It's like for me, for the cabinets, my goal is like, wow, that's a shed. That's what I want people to see when they kind of see the house. So it's like, and then they'll be like, wow, you did this yourself. So like the tape bedding, I don't know if I'll be able to do that. We'll probably hire some people to help us do that just so it looks good.
Say it again, to do the what? Tape and float?
So like what you do is, you hang the sheetrock and then you have to bed everything so you don't see any lines. Okay. And I never really noticed it, but like I'm looking here in my office and I can see the lines where they taped the sheetrock together and everything. Yep. And see it. It's very noticeable to me, so I don't want to have that, like, how this really nice, house that we did, and then it's like, who did your sheetrock? I'm like, yeah, that was me. He's like, oh, I can tell, Might pay someone to do that, and plus getting up there, because we have the gables to kind of get up there to screw that in. And
that's what I heard is, like doing sheetrock on a roof, that is not, like, on the ceiling. So, okay, so tell me about – what are these things that you're putting into the roof of your house? Those vents.
The black things?
What is that?
Okay, so there's anything that I can tell anybody if they're looking at getting a shed. You can get, there's so many different sheds out there. There's a shed that's like, like I'll see like people got my same shed and they paid like half of what I paid for on mine. But it's just, so what you want to do in a shed isn't designed to be a house. So when I got my shed, it is built the house code basically, but you have a ridge vent at the top, and then you have vents, or you should have vents at the bottom of the eaves. So when you put an insulation up there, it's going to trap the heat. So like we don't have a lot of moisture here in the DFW area, but let's say in Houston, it's very humid. So that heat and moisture builds up and it doesn't have a way to escape. So by having that rafter vent, then the air can escape and go out to the top, and that prevents mold and better airflow for the house. So that's what I was doing with that, and that's something that I'm on the way.
Yeah, totally. Did you do any research in terms, because a lot of people like myself, if we do spray foam, I just see people spraying up in the ceiling. And so how does...
Yeah, so with the spray foam, you wouldn't need it. So the spray foam, it actually seals the whole entire thing. So it's like a perfect seal, so no moisture is going to get in. We didn't do spray foam because it was just kind of out of our budget. We would have liked to do spray foam. But yeah, if you're doing the spray foam, then you wouldn't need to do that. It would be like if you're doing just the regular insulation. And that's just to help. And then mine has eaves, so like there's vents basically underneath the eaves of the roof, and then also at the top. I see a lot of sheds that don't have that. Yeah. So people get creative and do different things, and I mean, I'm creative, but I'm not that type of creative. So that's why I want, like, when I get a shed, I want the eaves, to have the eaves for the vents, the ridge vents, 12-inch on center, 16-inch studs, built more to, like, house code.
Mm-hmm.
A shed that I'm going to put in my backyard because that's it's not designed for that, really.
Okay, so what's 12-inch on center?
So, like, for instance, I think, like, your basic model shed is on the floorboards have, like, they do 24 inches, which is 2 feet. So they put 2 feet and then use, like, a 2x4 and then another 2 feet, and then they just put plywood or whatever over it. And then a standard one would be 16-inch on center, like Dirksen in Ulrich sheds. Mine is on 12-inch floor joists versus, which is an upgrade. And I think it's an upgrade with Dirksen too. You go from 16 to 12. Yeah, if y'all are listening to this, this is so much good information for you to be able to make sure that you talk about the floor joists, talk about ask your dealer for, all about the vents and everything, and just know your climate also. Well, I think we're at the last question. We listened to, Jack Spirko, the Survival Podcast. Right. We've been on calls together with permaculture design and all that, and wanting to grow your own food. What does freedom mean to you? All right. So as far as freedom, it's basically to be able to not be held down by debt or to be more sustainable. So it's, with one of the reasons we got into it was, the whole tiny small house living was for, to be closer to family, be happy. And with the freedom, it's just to be able to be more self-sufficient, be sustainable, to be able to not have to rely on, the government, Big Brother, or whatever like that, be able to do what I want to do, as long as I'm not, like, hurting anybody, obviously, but just be able to do the things that I want to be able to do, and, have animals if I want to have animals, grow my own food, grow quality food, be happy, and be able to do the things that you want to do. It's kind of what I see freedom as. How about you? Oh, man, I think you're right on there. For me, freedom is I want to be able to design my life so that I can teach my kids about what freedom is. I don't think that our freedom is going to be really challenged in our lifetime, but I don't see how it couldn't be for my children. And so freedom for me is I want to be able to have the money and the time and the lack of someone looking down, at me from whatever they look down at me for. I live in the suburbs. I can't grow food in my front yard. But the main thing is that I want to be able to have the freedom to teach my kids about what this country was built on in freedom, so that if it ever got to the fact that freedom was really challenged more than we all kind of talk about it and hint about it being challenged right now, that they're ready for it, that they are able to stand up for that. Very well said. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm wanting to do. My wife's wanting to do. We don't have any children, but we just want to be able to have the freedom to not be tied down anywhere, not be house poor. Be able to, if we want to go to Florida, go to Florida. If we want to go do this, do that.
Yeah.
Live life, have more freedom, be with family, be happier.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of why I'm, to have our own business and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, you got to have that. You got to mind your own business, man. You got to have it. Got to be entrepreneurial. Okay, Lou, dude, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you hanging with us. How can everybody find out more about you?
All right, so they could go to my YouTube channel, which is the ShedStead. So I'm kind of documenting everything on there where I'm building the shed, and also some of the homesteading stuff or farmsteading stuff that I'm doing. I have a Facebook page, the ShedStead, and on the ShedStead.com as well.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, everybody go check out Lou. Subscribe to his channel, comment, give him lots of thumbs up, say hi to him over in the group. Lou, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I know that you have a long day to get back to your animals, so I'm gonna let you go.
No problem for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet it, man. Okay, we'll talk to you later, dude.
All right, later.
Okay, thank you again to Lou for just hanging out with us and teaching us so much from someone who's like me, who doesn't really do this kind of master carpentry stuff. So it was great to be able to hear it from his point of view. And of course, thank you to Enterprise Center and Getting Sexist for even making this video possible. Hey, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff, share it if you want to, and come over to the Shed to House Facebook group. Shed to House Facebook group, come on, join us. We got like 42,000 people as of August 1st of 2017. So come on, hang out, gotta go, bye-bye.